Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, July 17th, here with Lisa.
Good morning.
And we are in New York City's Central Park. Going to be about 82 degrees today, so like 25 Celsius.
We have Prince Ice and Donna here. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Prince Ice. Good morning, Donna. Big supporters of the channel. There's a series of gates around Central Park. We're at Engineers Gate, if you want to look it up. Beautiful statue here of Mitchell, a former mayor of New York City. We're going to walk up to the reservoir.
We should say we might encounter some buffering in the park.
Oh yeah.
So bear with us.
There will most likely be buffering today. It's very hard to stream in Central Park, but here we are. It's cool. We're trying to think of good things for Lisa and Mini Bagel. So here we are. So this is the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Reservoir, one of my favorite places to take walks. Joanne is here from Kentucky.
Good morning.
Another great supporter of the channel. Thank you for being here, Joanne. Yeah, lots of ducks
Manhattan
and
wildlife. Ducks.
See if I can still get it. Yeah, hid behind the greenery for a second. Across you can see the skyline of Central Park West, including the famous San Remo apartments. And then south you can see the Billionaires Row, 57th Street. But why don't we walk a little bit of the reservoir, and we'll stop along the way to see more wildlife. So like I said, it's going to be about 82 degrees here. I know in Europe, if we have any of our European friends watching, that it's incredibly hot. So hoping everybody's safe and healthy as best as possible. In New York, when it gets incredibly hot, we open up cooling centers, like at schools and gyms, for the community. So if you have something like that and need it, I hope you'll take advantage. Speaking of, Alan is here. Haverhill, Suffolk, United Kingdom.
Hello.
Alan, if it's not unpleasant, do you want to let us know what the temperatures are and how you're doing? I guess the issue is maybe fewer air conditioners and maybe architecture that wasn't really designed for incredibly high temperatures. So we're all thinking of you guys, hoping it passes quickly. Like I said, this is the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Reservoir. So one time when we were here, we did look this up. Wiki Lisa helped us. And she was a resident, obviously of New York City, but I think of this area. We'll have to figure out where she lived one day.
Yeah.
But she was a huge proponent of New York City's public spaces. Last time we were in the Grand Central Terminal, there's a portrait of her, a plaque, because of the work she did to help save Grand Central. So there's numerous things around New York City in support of her and gratitude.
Well, yeah, that we have to thank her for.
Yep. So this is probably one of my most filmed locations in New York City. I try to walk the reservoir at least once a week, personally. Sometimes I film it. It's, what is it, about 2 miles loop?
No, it's
a little less?
The
It's like
loop
a mile
is
and a half,
about
I think.
1.6.
Yeah.
I know that from my running days.
But it's beautiful, and it changes throughout the year. During winter, I film it because it's so beautiful, but I should warn people that if they come in the winter, it's incredibly slippery because it gets covered in ice. And who knows what else, but it gets covered in ice, and I still stupidly film it. And the gimbal does a good job of
That's a good one.
It smooths out.
ASMR.
Yeah.
With the ice under your feet.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Even now with the gravel.
Demodat is here. Good morning, Bagel
Hello.
family.
Good morning from all of us.
Thank you for being here. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody. Oh, look at that. Coming in for a landing. I hope I caught a little bit of that. Beautiful. I'm going to try to film some of the nature as we see it and hopefully not smack into a runner. Look at those birds. There was like a heron recently in Central Park. So who knows? We'll see what we see, but maybe we'll get lucky and see some really interesting wildlife today. So we decided to do Central Park. We're thinking of new things that are comfortable for Lisa. Central Park's tricky because there's a lot of walking and there's hills and stuff, which we'll try to be mindful of. But it's fairly convenient for us, and there's lots of places to sit, there's lots of shade. So we're trying, like I said, to think of things that are good for the misses.
We're going to be getting creative as we move farther along.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
We're getting very close to the 3rd trimester, so rounding the corner toward the last part of pregnancy.
I put together a dresser and changing table this week. That was exciting. And I thought, oh, we should really be live streaming this.
Oh yeah, that would have been thrilling.
I think I only had to turn one piece around that I installed.
Well, and we had to use different screws because the screws that were provided weren't long enough to actually attach the pieces.
Ooh, that duck just dunked its head. Oh, Adam is here. Roman check 75, $10 super chat.
Thank you.
Let's see if we can give you a little.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay. Good morning.
Adam.
Thank you so much.
Adam, thank you so much for that. We're going to add that to the diaper fund. I don't know if you could hear that gentleman. It's probably, what, 8 feet wide, and we're in the right hand.
We're in the slow
right.
part of the
far right
traffic
corner, but I think he, as you can see up ahead, he's running against the right side, and I think wants to make noise to everybody who walks. In true New York fashion. But Adam, thank you so much, and it was fun to see you on Walking Commuter Stream. Hopefully, when it's funny, Gabe and I have often covered similar events and been practically one block apart. So one of these days we will get the collab going.
We have Owen and Clinton here. Good morning.
Owen, good morning. Clinton, good morning. It's really fun to see familiar faces.
Yeah, we
Thank
love
you.
this.
Thank you, everybody, for being here and spending some Sunday morning with us. Alan informs us, 29 Celsius. Yeah, I heard it was going to be, 30s, and I saw in some parts of the United Kingdom, I thought even up to 40, which just seems. Oof. So that would be 100, over 100, right? Fahrenheit. So Alan, stay cool, stay strong. Know that we're thinking of you. Once we get around this bend, we'll do some more shots of the reservoir. Just give me a second, because we have lots of runners coming. And Adam, thank you again. That's so nice of you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Why don't we pause here for a second?
Here's some more ducks.
So in the distance you have, again, that's Central Park South, 59th Street, and the towers of Billionaires Row.
Wouldn't be one of our live streams without multiple shout outs to Billionaires Row, I feel like. Oh wow, there's a whole
Here's a
little family.
Yeah, Adam, it was definitely not a runaway dog issue, nor was it actually a crowding issue.
Nope.
He just decided, I think he's decided that this is only for runners, which it's not. I mean, the only thing I have an issue is it really is supposed to be one way, and lots of people don't either
Most
know
people
or,
do.
Yeah,
but
the
some
vast
people don't know.
majority. They either don't know or don't care.
Yeah.
But he just decided it was only for runners and decided to run on the right-hand side, which is just
Not what you do.
not being considerate.
That's not the practice.
Clinton says, gorgeous photo op. Dave Jeffries here, good morning. Victory 3002, good morning from
Poland.
from
Hello.
Poland. Thank you for being here. Prince Ice, how are people running in this kind of weather? You know, it's not super, super, super hot today. It's a little
hot.
humid, but we've had hotter days, and it's very cloudy today, so there's no beating down sun. So I think there have been worse days for running.
I like
Alan's
Alan's idea. Got my feet in a bowl of chili water. I could go for that right now.
That's incredible. That's the way to do it. You know, get a spray bottle. I was listening to something about there was a heat wave in Chicago years ago, and one of the things that people did that worked was they put paper towels in the fridge, put that on.
Oh, you got to put them in the freezer. That's what I used to do.
And combine that with a spray bottle.
Yep.
You know, there's lots of ways to be creative. Parth, always loving your video. Following more than 8 months, keep growing. Hey, thank you for saying that. Thank you for being a long-term supporter. We try. If you're new to the channel, hope you'll consider subscribing. We do these live walks. We try to do them every Sunday with me and Lisa, and then during the week I try to share a video from New York City every single day. This week we've been focused on the East River, just because there's so much to do. We're almost done. I think we have the last 2 videos coming up. So Monday and Tuesday will be the end of the East River series. And they're kind of interesting. So stay tuned for that. I think we'll head to the west side and we can walk towards the lake and Strawberry Fields. How about that?
Okay.
And anytime you need to sit, we'll sit.
And again, bear with us as we will likely have some buffering.
Yeah, so the issue is the terrain of Central Park makes streaming difficult. It will almost certainly buffer, so apologize in advance, but hopefully the views are worth it. And if it's really tricky, I'll just post a replay later. So hang tight, stay tuned. But like I said, we're trying to think of creative things that are good for Lisa. We'll do our best. Thank you, Parth. Lots of flowers. I thought about doing a conservatory garden today, but I think it's a little far north and we're going to focus more on the lower portion. We will aim to get to the band shell around noon because there's a
Lovely sound effects behind us.
There's an event happening in Central Park today related to and in support of disabilities. So we'll aim to get to the band shell around noon. Until then, TBD. We'll just do whatever. We'll be spontaneous. We'll see where the park takes us. That was really gross. Hopefully they couldn't hear that.
Whew. Oh, it's not done.
There's some cool bridges coming up. Parth asks, am I on Instagram? No, not right now. We thought about different ways of expanding the channel's reach. Haven't gotten there yet. Focused on YouTube. Nabul's here.
Hello.
Nabul, it's very good to see you. Let us know how Bastille Day was, and let us know how you're hanging in there in France. Is France as warm as the United Kingdom? And how are you holding up? We'll pause over here, I think, and get another view. Let a few folks past us. Adam asks, do we guys ever do the Grand Bazaar Flea at Columbus and West 77th? It's one of my favorite Sunday things to do. That would make an awesome stream. No, I don't think we have yet.
It's a good idea.
We'll definitely check it out one of these days.
If anybody else has any ideas, let us know. We're open. If me and little mini bagel are able, we will try to do them.
So, dead center in the middle of the screen right this second is where we started, very close to the Guggenheim. I'm going to pan to the west.
Lynn is here. Good morning.
Lynn, good morning. It's good to see you. As Dumadad's saying, beautiful skyline. Yeah, here's the 59th Street, 57th Street, Billionaires Row area. And again, we're right now by the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Reservoir. It's really beautiful. They have these lovely, these must be like the pump houses and stuff.
Photos from around New York. Hello. Parth asks, are you born New Yorkers?
No, neither of us is a born New Yorker, but we've now been here for, myself, 18 years. Lisa, how long have you been here?
16.
So 18 and 16 years, so we are now adopted New Yorkers.
Definitely. But Sean is from Texas, and I am from New Jersey.
Clinton asks, is the Rockefeller tree up yet? No. I think it comes more like in October, right?
No, it comes like...
Even later than that?
Yeah, later than that. Around maybe Thanksgiving or something.
Got it. Okay, I
Maybe
was wondering
just
if it's like before things. No, not yet, but Rockefeller Center has a really cool thing right now, Clinton, which is these fountains. So if you check out our Fifth Avenue live stream, we did go to Rockefeller Center and check out.
That was fun. I could go for that right now.
Yeah, so they have this, they call it an art exhibit, but it's interactive. It's just a bunch of fountains and you could walk right inside of them. And it cools you off incredibly. It's such a welcome addition to, I think we'll exit here. This is one of the many beautiful bridges within Central Park. So we're gonna head to the west side of the park now.
Yes, thinking of a cooler time indeed.
Nabul, stay cool. Clinton, yeah, totally.
But then when it's too cold, we complain about that too. So, you know, here in New York, we get maybe a handful of weeks that are just perfect, and everything else is...
Still my most popular videos of Central Park.
In the snow.
After the first, the biggest snowstorm of
this
the year. Romachek says 10 years. So we have comfortably passed our 10-year marks. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Although the south of France does sound nice. You can see some of the tennis courts in Central Park. So north of us, you know, there's swimming pool and all sorts of stuff, but a lot of the stuff farther north is under construction right now. I have a video where I did an entire loop of Central Park, the drives, which is about 6 miles, and you can check out what's happening in the northern section. We're going to skip that today, one, because it's the hilliest part, and that'll be a little too tough for Lisa and Mini Bagel today, especially in the heat. But number two, because there were never-ending jackhammers.
Again, the sounds of New York.
I can't complain if they're improving the park for the long term. But
Photos from around New York. Reminder to click the like button. Thank you. Yes. Helps
Supercar show.
other people find us.
When is the New York Auto Show? That's not in winter. I don't think of that as a winter event, right?
I don't know. Let's see.
I don't know that I can bring the full gimbal setup in there, but maybe one of my smaller cameras we can.
The New York International Auto Show, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
It is in April.
So, okay. So after the dead of winter.
Wow, 22 years. That's awesome.
When the winter comes, can we send some to Suffolk? Yeah, we'll do our best. We were watching a TV show the other day, and they were talking about people who bottle air, from where they live and sell it, like on eBay.
So crazy.
Maybe we'll bottle some snow. Real, authentic New York City snow. It'll be dirty.
Dirty, black,
It'll be black.
The real stuff.
The real deal. You guys let us know in the chat how much you'd be willing to pay for authentic New York City brown snow. We're going to make it onto the walking path in a second. Should we go straight?
Sure.
Okay. I guess that was actually our light. We can go after this. So we're making our way to west side of Central Park. Started on the east side. Little detour around the reservoir, beautiful reservoir. Make our way to the west side. It's probably gonna be pretty quiet. There's some playgrounds and lots of people who will be getting morning exercise and lots of dogs.
This might be a good time for some of my interesting Central Park information that I found for us.
843 acres.
843 acres, 9 bodies of water.
So I probably can't think of more than, so there's conservatory water, that's the boat pond, there's the reservoir, there's the lake, there's the turtle pond,
Yeah,
there's the pond, there's Harlem Mere, that's 6. There's the one that's covered in algae up here, that's 7.
What about the one near Bethesda?
That's Turtle Pond.
That's Turtle Pond, okay.
So I'm missing 2.
What about the one where it's like really, really green? Have you been in that one? It's kind of tucked
North?
away. I don't
Or
remember
down here?
where it
I don't
is.
know. Well, I've run out of ones I know the names of. I can think of about 7.
Well, anyway, there are 9 bodies of water in Central Park. There are 21 playgrounds. There are 26 ball fields.
We will probably see some of the ball fields because we'll get to Heckscher area.
58 miles of paths.
That's incredible.
250 acres of lawn. This is one of my favorites. There are 10,000 benches.
So I learned another fact because certain somebody has a birthday coming up. Do you know how much it costs to put a plaque on the bench?
Oh boy,
What's your guess?
I wouldn't even have any idea.
If you had to guess.
I would have thought like maybe a couple $100, but I'm guessing it's more than that.
Let's just say the number you just used is very relevant.
$10,000
$10,000.
to put a plaque on a bench?
Yeah. Sadly,
Wow.
I do not believe we will be doing a plaque this year.
That is unbelievable.
Let's pause
I had
and see.
no idea.
Let's pause and see one just so we can see what people might spend $10,000 on. Although you have to remember in past it
was
might not
probably,
have been
yeah.
$10,000. So this one says 1949 to 1999, Odd Fellows and Rebecca's United Nations Pilgrimage for Youth, continuing a journey to understanding. Interesting,
Okay.
huh?
Well, let me just give my last fact I have here. And there are 18,000 trees. So I think something else I read said that in the park is about, it can get up to 16 degrees cooler than outside because of all the trees.
Wow, we'll take it.
Yep.
Parthas Live Walk again tomorrow? Nah, we do once a week. And then during the week, they're recorded videos of my little explorations around the city. This week, we'll be finishing up the East River series, 2 more episodes to come. And then back to our regularly scheduled programming of random walks around New York City, although I have some interesting ones coming.
There's one of the
21
playgrounds.
Yeah.
And that one's like a water.
Nabul says, depends on where the bench is, maybe cheaper in the north. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you actually call them up and the $10,000 number doesn't immediately scare you away, you know, maybe they have that conversation with you. I assume, you know, the $10,000 means even if it's quote unquote cheaper,
It's still thousands of
yeah,
dollars.
it's not going to be far from.
Whew, I had no idea.
Right? I thought, you know, brand new bench, you know, maybe you pick it. I thought, oh, you know, maybe $1,000. It never occurred to me.
It is the thought that counts indeed. That's a very nice thought you had.
It never occurred to me that they would be $10,000.
No way.
What's crazy too is like make it $500 but it's only there for a year or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like make it so that more people could experience it and feel that connection to the park. But in true New York City fashion, laughably expensive, comically expensive. Maybe we'll just pick a bench and call it ours in spirit.
Put a Post-it on there for the day.
Post-it note. Get yelled at even for that. And Nabul says he could ship a bottle of air from the south of France. How much are we willing to pay for that? See, maybe we'll make a trade.
There we go.
So, we probably mention this every time, but the park has been so lush and green. It's just beautiful. I hope it's coming across in the video. So, we're on the west side of the park. When we get up to the next lamp, we'll show you a little trick. Little park pro.
I learned this tip from you.
Okay, so we're coming up on a lamp. Lamp has a little plaque that says 8803. And so what that tells you is we are near the
88th Street.
Yep. And this one has the W in front of it, so we know we're
you're on
near
the west side.
West 88th Street. So if you ever get lost, or you're not lost, but you're just trying to find,
Just find a lamppost.
just find a lamppost, and the first 2 numbers, U or an E, indicate the nearest cross street.
That does come in handy once you're deep in the park because it's easy to get turned around.
Well, like the Ramble,
Yeah.
which we will not be filming because that is a disaster for filming, but for
It would be very
streaming.
cool, but you won't be able to stream from in there.
Buffer Central.
Yeah.
So these kind of hilly parts in winter, you'll see covered in children doing little, what do you call it? The
Sledding?
sledding. In fact, that kid seems to have a, what is that?
Oh my goodness, it's
World's
like a
largest
gigantic frisbee.
Adam says, slightly overcast sky, definitely highlighting the green. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's very hard to describe just how completely green it is. Stunning.
Hey, little buddy.
Lisa made a friend. Look at that frisbee. That's ridiculous. you can probably see the Frisbee. On the screen, it looks very small on my, my screen. I would say it is...
It is about the size of the child throwing it.
It's at least 2 feet in diameter. Maybe more.
I'm trying to not yell at her, but she does that.
That's hilarious. Prince Ice says, do you have to be a New York resident for naming a bench? I doubt it. My guess is they'll take
anyone's
they'll
money,
take
I'm
that
sure.
10,000 from anybody who's willing to pass it along. Though I would strongly encourage folks. I mean, I love the park. There's probably better things to use $10,000.
It is amazing, though. I'm looking, and I haven't seen a bench that doesn't have one.
Well, my guess is that they're probably rarer now, and as they become rarer, they
Or
can
I
probably,
bet if you buy it, you actually buy a bench. They might just add a bench.
Yeah, maybe they do. Yeah.
Ooh, that was a little bit of a hill. Bear with me.
It's warm for sure, and it is humid, so it is a little taxing.
I'm glad that it's overcast, so we're not dealing also with the sun.
Yeah.
But it is still warm.
Gotta be careful out here today. We did bring water, so Lisa can hydrate.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a little hydrating right now.
There's a lot of very aggressive people in the park today. I mean, exercisers who are,
They just want it to themselves.
I mean, it's the park. It's full of amateurs. You show up in an F1
To be clear,
race car, you're gonna be. I just think it's funny. I know I walk faster than people. I can't yell at everybody. I have to walk around them. I don't expect them to.
you would have very different videos if that's what you were doing.
So I think we're going to stay on this side, but to our left is the Arthur Ross Pine Tum. So lots of pine trees. Really beautiful over there. And beyond it is the concerts. And where I saw the Philharmonic and fireworks afterwards. That was super, super fun.
We have Naples, Florida here. Good morning.
Hey, cats. Thank you for being here. Doom Dot. Remember to hydrate. Totally. We brought our bottles of water.
Yep, just did a little bit of that.
I am a camel. Coming up on the former site, now doing far more recognition, Seneca Village. So people used to live in this area. New York is known for reinvention. So the original World Trade Center site, I think, was called Little Serbia. Lincoln Center was bulldozed. And here in Central Park, Seneca Village.
Here's another one of the 21 playgrounds.
And it's worth looking at the history of Seneca Village. It's part of New York's very complicated history.
Yep.
With Africa and African Americans. We have in the past visited the African burial ground near City Hall Park. So we're obviously very grateful for Central Park, but important to remember what and who had to be displaced to create it.
Yes, and glad that they're finally acknowledging that.
It's super interesting history. And yet another playground. This side is really covered in lots of playgrounds.
Alan
So
says,
I think we're going to hang a left here, even though it's on the road, but it should be.
Alan says, when your video goes lopsided, we will all know you've been hit by something.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah, he says as I take us
As you
onto
go
a
onto a
roadway.
road.
So there's no cars in Central Park except for parks, vehicles, and the police. So we should be okay. But I didn't want to keep going that way because look at that bird. Did you see that?
Tree.
Yeah, I think it's, oh, there's two of them. So it looked like hawks. I'm not a bird watcher, so I'm sure I'm gonna get the names wrong, but it was, that was a bird with a 2-foot wingspan, brown.
Oh, you could see it up there.
Yeah, it's a little tricky in the camera just because the...
Oh, there's two of them.
Beautiful, stunning. Okay,
Wow.
I think those were hawks. Beautiful. I've joked about it before, but sometimes you'll see, why don't we go into this part? Every now and then you'll see bird watchers, like, oh, and there's some to our left.
Oh, with their giant
Yeah,
equipment.
and they have, I mean, lenses that must cost
that cost
5 figures.
or the price of a bench
Right,
plaque.
you could, which would you, let us know in the chat. Would you prefer a lens that weighs 40 pounds and you will have to painstakingly take care of it, or a park bench?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't imagine how warm it would be if the sun were blasting on us as well.
So we can cross over and get onto this path so we can avoid the bikers. That was cool to see those hawks. Yeah, it must have been a family. Wouldn't surprise me if...
We have seen lots of wildlife families in the park over
Yeah,
this last
there's a lot of the geese. Mm-hmm. And we've watched them grow up, in fact. Families of geese. And it's interesting, they always have a lookout. Although, to be honest, I would not want to mess around with them.
Oh no, they are mean.
I think they would do some damage if they really
Yeah.
wanted to.
That's a good point.
The lens, I can sell it if I don't use it. This is a very good point.
Yep.
One is tax deductible, one is not.
Which way should we go?
LV says, I would love to go bird watching in Central Park with my gigantic lens on a bench.
On a bench. There we go. Why choose?
Would you mind doing me the favor of opening Google Maps so we can get the name of this bridge? It's beautiful. I think this is like Winter something. You have to zoom really close and might not even say it.
Winterdale
Winterdale.
Arch.
I was going to say Winterfell, so Winterdale's pretty close. Do we know how many arches there are in Central Park?
Let's see. Are they all called arches, or are some of them called bridges?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Well, Bow Bridge is a bridge, so I guess it depends on what
This answers both.
Yeah.
There are 31 arches and bridges in the park, plus 14 bridges that carry traffic over
yeah.
the 4 transverse roads.
Got it. So there's lots of people over there on picnic blankets.
Listening to live music.
But, oh, do we think they're trying to get tickets for something? For like Shakespeare in the Park or something?
Oh, and then this is the line all the way down here?
Yeah, is that possible?
Not sure.
Because I don't think I love the music. I don't think they're here just for this guy.
Oh, and in a line.
Yeah. Zero offense intended to this gentleman. He's very good. I just mean...
It could very well be. Yeah, because there's the theater right there. When I first moved to New York, which we talked about was 16 years ago. 16 years ago in August, actually. within my first week, I saw a performance at the theater here starring Meryl Streep
Incredible.
and Kevin Kline in Mother Courage.
Wow.
So that was not a bad introduction to my new New York life.
And then you thought, wow, every day is like this, right?
Well, I also happened to have a interesting roommate who moved here to become a singer, dancer, you know, something or other. So she had days off. She worked in the evenings as a waitress. So she was able to come and do what these people are doing and sit and wait to get tickets. And she took me. So that was nice.
That's super nice. Okay, so why don't we walk to Shakespeare Garden? We're not going to walk up to the castle just because it's too much, and then you're stuck in the ramble. So we'll walk to Shakespeare Garden, take a quick look, and then we'll probably head to the lake. Yeah, Doom Dot. They're definitely in a line. I think I'm right.
I think
that
you're
it's
right
for
that they're waiting for the...
Shakespeare in the Park
Yeah.
at the Delacorte Theater. Delacorte, a name we know very well from
all kinds of
the clock.
things
the,
in the park. Alice in
Alice in
Wonderland
Wonderland.
statue.
So we're walking up to the Shakespeare Garden. You know, there's Shakespeare Gardens in many places have them where the plants are inspired by his writing. I also want to just take a moment, give a big thank you to Joanne and Alan and Donna, who have left super thanks, which are gifts on my recorded videos.
That's very nice.
It's super, super,
Thank
super
you.
nice. It's totally thoughtful and generous, too generous, and helps support what we're doing, and certainly gives us encouragement. So a big, 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 big New York City thank you to each of you.
And Gregory is here. Hello.
The Santa
From
Barbara
me and Sean
contingent-
and Baby.
The Santa Barbara contingent has arrived. Gregory, hope all's well.
We are exploring Central Park today.
And right now we are walking, so to our right, which is the path we're going to take, is the garden. To our left, you can walk directly up to Belvedere Castle. We are not going to do that today just because too much walking, too much climbing, really.
Yeah, it's more the climbing.
And then when you get out of it, you can go east, you know, which is on the sort of ramp, but just a little too much climbing, I think, for today. As you can tell, we are thinking of easier things to be doing on these live streams. Isn't this beautiful? So coming up ahead is the Swedish Marionette Theater.
This reminds me, I'm not exactly sure where, somewhere in New Jersey, because I used to go when I was very little. There's an amusement park called Storybook Land.
Ah,
And, you know, you have all your storybook characters, Mother Goose and all those. But this area kind of reminds me
Totally.
of that.
totally, yeah. Doesn't this have a fairy tale?
And this
Doesn't this look like a fairy
building,
tale?
yeah. Yeah, the fence is quite something. It just adds to the charm. Oh, and they have
Yeah,
quotes
here's an
from
example.
Shakespeare.
For through the chamomile, the more it is trodden on, the faster it grows. Yet youth, the more it is wasted, the sooner it wears.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a very good one. So let's just, I'll walk right up there if you want to hang here for a second. I'll just give you guys a quick view. You can see the butterflies. Romeo and Juliet quote, "This bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet." So I'm going to go back to see Lisa, but just wanted to give you a peek into Shakespeare Garden. It's really something. Really beautiful. And Prince Ice. Lots of benches. Places to sit. This would be a wonderful place if you brought a little snack and some water to take a break in your Central Park exploration. We are back with Lisa.
Back. I didn't talk because I couldn't hear what you were saying and didn't want to talk over you.
There was a nice little Romeo and Juliet quote, and we saw some butterflies.
Ooh.
Beautiful there. That's another area, you know, in winter if you visit, you just have to be very careful because the stone gets covered in snow and ice. And it's very rustic, so it's not like
Weather treated.
Yeah, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't situate, like the snow doesn't situate itself very flat. So you have to be super careful. So we're walking towards the lake next. And as we walk, I can remind Lisa that when I'm in the park now, all I see are strollers.
Strollers.
And I've been querying the nannies of New York City on their experiences with different strollers. And last time we learned how shockingly expensive strollers can be.
We found one that we like, though, for our registry. So that's exciting.
Yeah, we found a much more affordable.
And it is not $1,000.
And the one we're looking at is a three-wheeler with big wheels.
With the big rubber, which will be good for the different terrain. Who knew there were so many different, you know, paths and things that we explore in the city? But there are.
I've noticed even with the super expensive ones, people really struggling on New York City terrain. So we're going to do different. We're going to try to learn from their experience as best we can. It's probably a little too far, but in the distance, a beautiful dog chasing a ball. Maybe we'll pause here and see if we can see it streak across the lawn in the distance.
Oh, I see it now.
It's behind
he's
some
behind
trees.
a tree.
Yeah. There it's running. Let's see there it is. That dog is having the time of its life. That's another fun thing in the winter. All of the lawns and hills covered in dogs when they're seeing snow either for the first time ever or certainly that season. Just having the time of their life.
Just pure joy.
And then later in the day, because usually it's the parents bringing the dogs out first.
And then they bring the kids.
And then later in the day, they bring the kids out with the little sleds. Stroller on the brain. Well, I was watching Walking Commuter and noticed, because his eye is usually on things like Teslas and interesting cars, and I noticed he was calling out Volvos. I said to him, you've got a very different eye towards a very different sensibility of cars now.
Dad eye.
Yep. That's why I said you have the car eye of a sensible dad, is what I said.
I know when Sean told me he had asked a couple people about their strollers, I said, wow, what you're paying attention to these days is quite different.
Definitely a good idea to get the big wheel. Stroller for an active lifestyle. Stroller on the brain. Gregory Kelly, enjoying the series on the East River this week. Nice to focus on one area. Yeah, and isn't it crazy? Because it really goes all the way from Harlem to the tip of Manhattan, you know, and...
Not uninterrupted.
Yeah. But there's so much to see. So I liked the idea of the series. We'll probably do more over time.
Sue K is here from Santa Fe.
Hello to Santa Fe. Thank you for being with us. Romachek, cars, garages, and ramen shops. Yeah, Gabe has, I love his eye. He knows what he likes. And he looks at things with curiosity, which I appreciate. He's been experimenting with 360-degree video, which is a whole other part of YouTube. Why don't we walk left and we'll go to Ladies Pavilion.
Yes, Alan, I love your ideas.
Dumadot says the little lighthouse is neat. Yeah, that was Roosevelt Island, which is one of my favorite places to visit. In a previous video, you can watch me take the tram there, but you can also go by subway or ferry.
Did you see Alan's idea, Sean? You passed over that conveniently.
Just had a thought, Lisa and baby stroller pulled along by dad power. Yeah, so Alan, you may not know this, but Lisa was once in a wheelchair. She's obviously doing better now. It was related to some surgery. So I have definitely...
He has pushed me around.
So I'm going to say this now before we go. So oftentimes people use Ladies Pavilion, which we'll see in a second, for things like weddings, and it looks like there may be one now.
Or proposals.
Proposals. So
yep.
We're going to... I don't care about walking in front of people in public places, so we're going to be quiet, though, and kind of walk through it, but just, I don't want to be disruptive, but I'll be semi-disruptive.
She had a beautiful dress.
Okay, so wasn't that beautiful? Dumadot, I proposed in Central Park in the rain. Incredible.
That's memorable.
Wasn't that beautiful over there, though?
Very nice.
So, is this called, it's something landing. Is it Hesher Landing?
Where we are right now?
Yeah. And these are the boat landings around the lake. That's Ladies Pavilion that we just passed, which was where the like a wedding ceremony.
Does not tell us.
Yeah. There's like, if you go on Central Park's website, it'd probably say. But this is one of my favorite places to watch people in the rowboats.
Oh, Alan, no offense taken at all. It was just temporary, but Sean got the experience of pushing me around in a wheelchair in the city, and we learned how inaccessible much of it is.
You know, I think
really,
a lot of people, I try not to get
really
overly political. But for example, if you go to Moynihan Hall, which is the new Penn Station train hall, there's no seating. And they did this, you know, it has to do with our homeless situation. But the result is, you know, all sorts of people, including people who have physical challenges, don't have a place to sit, right?
Well, I'm learning that now when we wait for the buses.
Yeah, just being pregnant, right? And
hardly any of them have places to sit.
I hate the idea that one only
Bus
learns
stops.
empathy, you know, when you're experiencing something yourself. But New York has real accessibility challenges, so I'm not going to go off on that tangent today, but something, let's just say, I think about often. She must have said yes, because I think that was a wedding ceremony, not just a proposal.
Well, I don't think that was a proposal. It was a wedding ceremony.
It was a wedding ceremony, yeah. No, somebody in the chat was saying, did she say yes?
Oh.
So we're going to be quiet just because there's music, but take a slow stroll. We often see the geese here. Maybe she just said I do because I heard some cheering.
That was lovely.
That's super lovely, isn't it? Parth says, any plans for India? I would love to make it to India one day. We watch a lot of, you know, Indian-related movies, and it has certainly piqued my interest. One day. Take a quick look at some of the architecture along Central Park West. Isn't this beautiful? I'm doing a pan up, the Dumadot special. Hope I didn't get a speeding ticket. Yeah, we did have one incident though. One crack in the curb when we were in Brooklyn.
Oh, that was not fun.
Yeah.
That was
when I say a crack in the
painful.
curb, like, it must have been gigantic. You know, speaking of the infrastructure of New York City, the sidewalk was a
Just
complete shambles.
Rammed me, like, I screamed, a woman came over, everything okay?
So stupid, God. So we're coming up in a moment on a beautiful kind of tree-covered wooden structure, underneath which you sometimes see, and maybe we'll see today, the Central Park barber.
Haircut guy.
Yeah. So you may not have known this. There's so much you can do in Central Park.
Including getting a haircut.
Gentlemen can get a haircut, which I think is a genius thing during the last couple of years. A lot of people wanted, you know, may have wanted to do that outdoors.
I fully support it because I have been giving Sean his haircuts, which I don't mind doing, but when we have to do them inside an apartment, cleanup is less than ideal situation.
Does a good job though. Dude loves those pan ups. Alan Brett. I just love a speeding ticket. That makes me laugh. Do you think you can make it up Strawberry Fields, or should we keep on the lower levels? We could make a left and go to, what time is it?
It's 11:30, so we still
Why don't we
have
make a
30
left?
minutes.
Why don't we make a left? We'll spend some time in, we'll walk to Bethesda.
Okay.
There will probably be music. It will be copyrighted. Whatever. It's about exposure. I do not see the Central Park barber today.
Not today.
But we will pan left, because what do you see over here from this side of the lake?
And birds can use the hair to make nests. Indeed.
If we pan left
Cycle
here,
of life.
if we pan left here, what are we going to see? Just past this structure.
The lake?
What's across the lake?
A bridge?
Which bridge?
I don't know.
Bow Bridge, the most romantic bridge in Central Park.
Like they play like for like.
Well, you've never taken me to that bridge.
We've absolutely gone to that bridge multiple times.
Not as like, oh, let's go to the most romantic bridge in the park, as in, oh, we just happen to be walking over the bridge to get somewhere.
I view all life as romance
As
and beauty.
romance, I'm sure you do.
Every moment is an opportunity. Love, romance, and beauty.
You make me laugh.
So we're trying to be mindful of terrain for Lisa's sake, but also timing, because we want to end up near the bandshell around noon, because there's an event in support of disabilities, which we were just talking about. So we will hang left. One day we'll make it to Strawberry Fields, not today. We're going to hang a left. We're going to go to Cherry Hill, which is where the carriages sometimes congregate. It's beautiful. And then we will get over to Bow Bridge and then Bethesda Fountain, which some people confuse as the Friends Fountain, which is not.
We'll be near those stairs, which is where there's a restroom. I might have to take a little break once we get there.
And in the distance, so you can see the horse carriages here, which I apparently there's a big political fight yet again. And then in the distance, middle of my frame, is the Falconer. There's so much beauty right now. Gregory Kelly for Baby's College Fund. Wow, we've
Oh my
moved
goodness.
from the diaper
Past
fund.
diapers, just jumping right to college. I love it.
Gregory Kelly, thank you so much. A big New York City thank you to Gregory
you.
Kelly. Thank you for kicking off College Fund.
Parth asks if we're married. Yes, we are married. Happily, right, Sean?
Happily married.
And we have Beltran Village from Spain. Hello.
Beltran from Spain, welcome. Adam says, I've let my hair grow over the last 2 years. I love my barber, but their space is too small. It's tiny, 4 chairs. I'd love to see the barber there in the park when he's there. Yeah, if you Google Central Park Barber, he has a reservation system. I, to be honest, have not done it yet. But he has an Instagram and everything looks really good. And I think he does a lot of support for the community. You know, I think he does, like, he donates haircuts to folks who really need them. So while I can't make a personal review, I make a recommendation for certainly checking them out. And yeah, look, everybody's comfort level with things is different. I always have to remind people that New York was hit really, really hard. And so just be mindful when New Yorkers are cautious, you know, that comes from experience. So this is the Cherry Hill area. Isn't it beautiful up here? With the fountain? The fountain's not really
nice.
running very well, but. Doomdog, what did the Zen master say to the hot dog vendor?
What did the Zen master say to the hot dog vendor?
I feel like it's like, I wish I could come up with the answer.
This is a photo from the bay.
Make me one with
Make
everything.
me one
I'm
with
saying I'll have one
everything.
with everything. I knew it was one with everything. I was like, it's not, I'll have one with it. Make me one with everything.
That's good.
Well done. Bravo.
Prince Ice is asking about the cost of haircuts. I'm going to let you answer because I'm sure
well, it's different for men and women.
it's way different for men and
for
women.
men, if you go to a lot of the barbers in New York, like if you just go to a barber shop, are like Eastern European guys who do a really good job. But I just mean it's very prominent, like that's a prominent business. And if you go to like them, it's generally 20 to 25 plus tip. And, you know, tip, people leave, you know, between $2 and $5 generally. You know, folks who have like a really good relationship and go every week, every, you know, couple of weeks, they might be on the higher end. We'll pause over here for a second. But there's certainly the, you know, salons that people can go to where it might be 50 to 100.
For women, I would say it averages about 100.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, so it's about the same price as in Korea, it looks like. Alan says, never too young for your friends here to start the Mini Bagel College Fund. Well, we appreciate that. VLPLG, hello, thank you for being here. LV, a carriage ride would be great, or a bicycle cart ride. Yeah, so, you know, it's funny you mentioned that as we were just walking by there, but we've been thinking of, you know, what are the things that we're going to do in weeks to come. I will say it's a little hot, so that the horse carriage ride, there's a certain smell.
That might be better in cooler weather.
But we're thinking of things like that, of that nature. Robocheck says, when I started going 15 years ago, it was 13. Now passing by 25, not including tip. Yeah, I have the same experience where I think originally my haircuts were in the...
Parth asked about the Apple and Nike store on Fifth Ave. I think, was it last week's live stream we did?
Yeah, check out
down
last
Fifth?
week's, well, we did Park and we did Fifth, which was, I think Fifth was 2 weeks ago maybe? And Park was, or am I getting them reversed? Anyways, one of the last two videos was of Fifth Avenue.
And
so
we
definitely
do
check that
see
out.
the Apple store. I don't think we pointed out the Nike store, but I think we walked past it.
Yeah, we definitely did. I'll do more from Fifth Avenue. I already have one coming up, but I'll do more from the Midtown area. So I've started to see a lot of this in the park. You know, people obviously do picnics in the park, but I've started to see these kind of upscale, kind of designed ones where you're clearly paying somebody to like set up a really fancy situation.
There's a birthday idea. Maybe not. Maybe that's not $10,000 like the bench. Well, that is a good question, actually. Speaking of, my birthday is in 2 weeks on a Sunday, so we'll have to see.
Well,
if
it's
we're
a whole
going to do a
complicated
birthday live stream.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing because there's a wedding. There's lots. Yeah, well, TBD, folks. We'll figure out the schedule as we get closer. Coming here to Bow Bridge. Oftentimes there are, you know, professional photo shoots happening over here. I don't see one today. But sometimes you'll see, you know, usually it's like a woman, but sometimes in like a tremendous...
There's rose petals.
Tremendous gown. Yeah, you often see, this is where you would see a proposal. You know, with a photographer watching from the side. Adam says that's the thing with summer in the city, the smells, the exacerbated smells. Yeah, so you have to plan your activities accordingly.
And we continue to wear masks even outside because, you know,
We're just being hyper cautious.
very careful for Mini Bagel.
But it
and
helps
me.
with the smells, I will tell you.
It helps, but some still seep through.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impervious, but it's certainly a lot of the stray smells. It's very helpful with.
Oh, I think there's a, I think it's up here. There's a really beautiful rock with a memorial plaque on it somewhere around
All right,
here.
let's see if we can find it. So we're gonna walk to Bethesda. There's probably gonna be music, even when it's live and even when it's covers. YouTube goes crazy. We're not gonna mute anymore. I'm just rather you guys experience the real thing, and we'll deal with the consequences later. Should
I
we read
think
another?
it might be this one.
Should we read another bench though?
That's a pretty one. Andy, you will always be in our hearts and minds, your women walking friends.
Wow. Oh.
Another one for Andy, who took me walking through the hills of Jerusalem. Love, Angelica. Wow, Andy, really. Dearest Andy, we miss you every single day. Dale and Doug Anderson. Andy Bronfman, who enjoyed Central Park every day. Andy, we miss you. My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
For Andy, who loved life, loved her family, and loved her Ling? Oh, look, it is.
Oh, and it's for Andy.
It's for Andy.
Does
I didn't
anybody
even
wanna
remember
look
that.
up- Does anybody want to Google Andy Bronfman Central Park and just see if they've noticed
I just always like this one because it's just so,
for Andy, whom I've
whom
loved
I've
so
loved
very much?
so very much, Charles.
That's beautiful. Can you imagine what it costs to get a
rock.
like a real memorial, not just a plaque on a bench, but like. So if you can look up Andy Bronfman Central Park, I mean,
The
we
people
just
loved Andy, indeed.
we just I
It's
just
funny,
pointed,
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, I just pointed the camera randomly. That was not a planned thing, but just to see so many.
But I remembered that rock, and it didn't even occur to me that it was.
And that there would be 10 benches
Exactly.
dedicated along with it.
Wow.
Feng mentions, yeah, so Feng says like we can smell that through. There's a big controversy right now because marijuana was, I feel like I think we're beyond decriminalization. I think it's like been legalized for certain users, like above 21 or something. And so there's this, tabloid newspaper controversy that you can smell it everywhere. I mean, like if you go to Washington Square Park, you could smell some pot, but
Yeah.
I think the newspaper,
I haven't smelled any
yeah,
today.
I think it's a little exaggerated how extensive it is.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Wow.
That's very sad.
Well, thank you for letting us know, and it's an incredible remembrance, an overwhelming remembrance.
Absolutely. Whew. Is that live music?
Yeah. He's one of the best, but his trigger my copyright stuff all the time. But we're gonna, like I said, enjoy the music and deal with the consequences. So we're coming up on Bethesda Terrace and the famous Bethesda Fountain, which is not the Friends Fountain.
This fountain is in many movies, though.
Yeah, and the Gilded Age
Uh-huh.
did some
Yep.
on-site filming here, which is apparently quite rare to do.
Some good flowers in there. I'm going to
Yeah.
take a picture.
And if you could get a couple wide shots from around Bethesda, this might be our thumbnail area for today. Parth, how big is Central Park? 843 acres. Runs from 5th Avenue on the east, 8th Avenue on the west, from 59th Street to 110th Street. So it's about 2.5 miles of walking long. But as Lisa mentioned, there's like
58 miles of paths.
yeah, you can go miles and miles and miles inside.
Oh, there are like dueling musicians.
Let's go look at the low boathouse.
Well, I bet we can get some good shots of turtles.
lady. Your love is cooling like a winter snow.
So each of those little dots you see on the screen is the mouth of a turtle poking its little face out, and the next one you can see the geese.
There are 9 bodies of water.
9 bodies of water, 843 acres, 10,000
10,000 benches, 18,000 trees, 21
parks.
playgrounds.
Or playgrounds, yes.
Okay, ladies, for the dance. You know, it's not easy to keep love going strong. People are people, and they all love their food.
Oh, well, this is where all the turtles are.
Well, they're getting fed.
They're getting fed.
So one of the ponds north of us is called Turtle Pond, Gimbal. I think we're going to step away just because
The birds are getting a little lively.
the thing with the geese is, and always one of them, I think, is like a lookout. And if you get a little close or a little aggressive, they will have a word with you. And I do not want to see Lisa have words. Kazoo 365, this musician is called. But yeah, the pond near Belvedere Castle is Turtle Pond, and it's a lovely place to sit. There's lots of spots around it to do picnics and stuff. In fact, that's where I saw the most of the expensive looking ones.
I think I'm going to give you my mic and take my restroom break.
Okay. We're gonna hang out by the fountain as we wait. I think I turned her mic off, so hopefully no echoes or anything weird. Alan says, and only one YouTube couple, Sean and Lisa. Well, thank you for that. We love to spend these Sundays with everybody. It's so much fun. This is probably my favorite place in New York City, so it's always especially fun to share this with folks. Lots of activities for kids around here. Usually, so today's is the soap bubble guy. Sometimes there's other things. And in here, this is Minton Tiles at the Bethesda Arcade, so we'll go look up in a second. Usually music, but sometimes another spot for proposals. It looks like a jewelry vendor. Oh yeah, this is definitely gonna get copyright triggered. Ah well. Enjoy the music. Gregory Kelly, have I ever taken Lisa on a rowboat? That's honestly a very good question. We've been on boats. That's a very good, I don't, off the top of my head, I'm not sure if I have ever taken her on a rowboat. So there's a modeling session, and it does look like some engagement photos up ahead. I'm surprised we didn't see as many on Bow Bridge today. Lisa did mention seeing the rose petals, but they looked a little worn, So I don't, maybe they were from very early today, but I'm a little surprised. More happening over there, but Prince Isis Twilight Song. So Google the Minton tiles, M-I-N-T-O-N. They really are beautiful, and the lighting in here, it's very, very, very hard to capture it on camera because it's kind of dark in there. But Google Minton tiles, it's so beautiful. So I believe the guitarist in the arcade is called Carlos Carlos. Really amazing guitarist. Yeah, Dumadot, I mean, they're super hypersensitive. I have a lot of issues, but I think I've decided for the most part on the lives to take my medicine and just deal with the consequences of it, because I, for the most part, would rather you guys experience what we're experiencing. It is what it is. Thankfully, I've never gotten a strike. I've only gotten the kind where they take all the money. Yeah, I would say, oh, that guy has, I think, the new Insta360 camera. Speaking of 360 stuff. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so this is definitely one of my favorite places in the park. It's probably one of the most recognizable parts of the park because of the fountain. And it's so close to the boathouse. Definitely, if you just want a lot of activity in a very small space, Bethesda is the place to be. Often really good music. And we definitely saw that today. We'll head up in a few minutes. The mall and the literary walk, known for beautiful monuments. And in addition, the Central Park Bandshell, which, like I said, there should be an event happening today that we'll check out.
Take these sunken eyes and look, see all your life. You're only waiting for this moment to be free.
And here's a plaque. Navy Terrace, named in honor of the men and women of New York City who served their country during the World Wars in the United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, and United States Coast Guard, dedicated May 1947. And I see Lisa coming, so let me turn the mic back on.
Into the light of the dark night.
Missed some great music. Here you go.
Okay, I'm back. Hopefully my mic is working.
Yeah, let us know in the chat. It looks good on my side. And we're gonna walk up. Why don't we walk through so we can see Carla? Oh, can you take? Let's go nuts. for the guitarist inside.
This woman makes beautiful jewelry.
Yeah, we walked around the area.
Oh, you did?
We had a moment. Romachek says, yeah, so that's the Kazoo 365. He definitely has this kind of gravelly voice. He's really good. Is that the new Insta 360?
Yeah,
do you like it?
Yeah, it's great. Low
Yeah?
light, it's just like, it's incredible.
In here, it works pretty well?
Yeah, I mean, this won't be an issue at all, especially in HDR.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's really cool. It's really not an action cam.
Yeah.
And I use it for more like virtual tours. I'm a real estate photographer, but this thing is really cool.
Awesome.
Really
Cool. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Cheers. So that's funny. He's playing the theme Father, and we've just started. Lisa and myself are. What's the politically correct way of saying this? But movies of that theme. New York City mafia gangster movies. I don't know what the best way to say that is, but so yesterday we finished Once Upon a Time in America.
We had to do that in 2 parts because it's
It's 4
almost
hours
4
long,
hours
yeah.
long.
If you've ever seen the famous Dumbo view of the Manhattan Bridge, you know, that movie is probably the most famous
That's a beautiful shot.
representation of it. They spent a lot of time in Williamsburg, the more Jewish part of Brooklyn, and Dumbo. And it's an incredible film. So if you've, you know, it's 4 hours long. So it's a
And violent.
very violent.
Very violent.
But really good, and the music is so
The
incredible.
music is
right?
fantastic. Yeah. Giant chessboard.
Yeah, so like I
Fun.
said, there's an event happening today, I think related to disability rights advocacy. We'll find out. I don't precisely know. So, and it looks like New York City Parks is doing. Probably, I don't even think that's related to the event. I think it's just their.
They usually set up when they have events, though.
And just FYI, the menu here, hot dog, $3. That's not too bad.
Scarface, John W. Yep, that's on the list.
Yeah, so we were initially going to go in chronological order, which would have been Once Upon a Time in America, then Godfather, then, because Lisa wanted to see Goodfellas. And I said, oh, well, if we're going to do Goodfellas, you really got to see the genre. But then we decided to do Once Upon a Time, then Goodfellas, and then do Godfather, the trilogy. And then I guess after that, we'll do Scarface. Speaking of hyper-violent. All right, so let's see if we can read about, can you look up the Night Festival 2022 Central Park? And it looks like CBS is here. Oh, Achilles. So Achilles is an organization that Lisa is a big fan of.
Oh, yes, I've done some of their Central Park races.
So before we go in, let's see if we can read about.
I might need you to read because I'm still catching my breath from the stairs.
Yeah, no problem. Come together with friends and family at the Bandshell for New York City's citywide celebration of July's Disability Pride Month, commemorating the 32nd anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Wow. This year's theme, A Future of Inclusion, as we emerge from is undergoing fundamental restructuring. A future of inclusion envisions humanity entering a world where inclusion is embraced on every level and highlights that the time is now to build a future where we can live the life we want. And it says if you're out of New York City, which some of you are, there's virtual ways to participate. So go to www.disability to learn more. Awesome. And it's, I mean, couldn't agree more with the motto and the message and the theme.
Love it.
I absolutely believe in inclusion. And I was talking about Moynihan. I mean, I don't want to make it about how does this impact me and how does this benefit me, but it's very true that making things more accessible helps everybody.
Everybody.
It helps everybody.
Yep.
So if you imagine, you take a trip to the airport and you sure wish there was an escalator or an elevator. Guess what? Accessibility could have been an answer to that. And, again, I don't want to make it about how this benefits me, because that's not the point. But everybody truly does benefit when you make the world easier to engage with.
Yes.
So Achilles, do you want to describe Achilles and what your involvement has been?
Yeah, I haven't been able to actually be a guide, but I was
Well, what do they do?
participated in some of their races.
Yeah,
but
what do they do?
They pair, and again, I don't know the politically correct way of saying these things, but they pair an able-bodied person with someone who has some sort of challenge, whether it be physical, mental, and
Visual,
they help.
maybe,
Yeah,
or-
visual, and they help them complete a race. So I actually, when I ran the New York City Marathon, there was somebody from there working with a guide to do the marathon, which is pretty incredible.
The website again was disabilityunite.org. Disabilityunite.org. And we have friends. I mentioned earlier, Lisa had surgery, was in a wheelchair. Obviously that was temporary. That's very different than long-term or permanent. But, it was very eye-opening. And I try to be fairly aware of accessibility. Really dealing.
Speaking of that view, sorry to have an abrupt change in topic, but that view of
That's
the
the
bridge,
view. That's the view that we were just talking about of the Manhattan
some
Bridge
beautiful
from Dumbo.
artwork.
Yeah, that's super beautiful. So it looks like they've really taken over the whole area. So we'll do some walking around and we'll see some of the event.
Want to see what's down here?
Yeah, I just want to look at the band shell for a second since we mentioned it a couple times. So this is the famous Central Park band shell.
Accessibility is equality, absolutely.
Yeah. Love living in New York. One of my favorite things about living in New York is the public transportation. But the New York City subway system is remarkably inaccessible. I was on a subway the other day that got to Grand Central, which one imagines is one of the best built parts of the subway system, and they made an announcement that said, the elevator is out. It will be out until the end of the year. It's July. And when they say it'll be out to the end of the year, I don't even know if it'll be finished by the end of the year. And they said, if you need an elevator to go one or two more, you have to switch from the express to the local and go one or two more stops, which could be 20 blocks.
Unacceptable.
And you just thought, so I have to go a mile out of my way. And I don't know if you know this, but the cost of an elevator in the New York City subway system is something like $50 million. And this is the quality that don't get me started.
Too late.
Don't get me started. But it's really shocking. And this is we should all be advocates.
Check.
And I encourage everybody to be an ally and an advocate however they can, because telling somebody to go a mile out of their way just to get off of a subway and get to the street is not acceptable. And anybody at the MTA who thought waiting 8 months to solve that problem is plausibly an answer is out of their minds. And I say this again as a lover of New York City public transportation. The MTA, it's as good as you get it in the United States of America, but it is, we should not tolerate
There's
that.
some work to be done.
Yeah, we shouldn't. That is not an acceptable level of service. And I say this as somebody who has no need for the elevator, right? But I still know that we should advocate for better than that. Absolutely.
This is very nice.
Yeah, this is really nice. Lena's library. Do you want to find out what Lena's library is for us? Oh, I just meant go ask. So after we do the event, we'll walk a bit of the literary walk.
Lena gives out free new books to the community to promote literacy.
Well, that is absolutely something we can get behind.
Yeah.
I saw somebody on a stream recently who was worked for the New York Public Library. Big fan of the New York Public Library.
Yep.
I am a member. I am a frequent book borrower. And speaking of accessibility, they have a great, you can use, I think they have their own app, but you can, there's lots of free apps. I use one called Libby, L-I-B-B-Y, and you plug in your library card numbers, in my case, the New York Public Library, and it lets you borrow ebooks on your, in my case, my phone. So I don't even have to go anywhere. The ability to do that from home doesn't cost a dime. Love libraries.
Can you pump that around the entire stage pretty handily? Thank you. That's pretty much
All right, I think they're about to jam. Parth, TBD, some of the places don't like when you film inside, so TBD, but we'll definitely get the outside and give you a lay of the land of where things are.
Test, test.
But TBD on inside. I don't do a lot on the
York City,
inside
can
just
you hear
because
me?
it's I don't like getting in
I think
fights
this mic
with
might
folks
be
who
off.
are just
New York City, can you hear me? Okay.
trying to follow
Here
the
we
company
go.
rules.
I guess the mic's working. We are ready to start the show. So I'm going to need a thumbs up from our broadcast to make sure we... And as soon as we do, we are going to start this. All right. For everybody in person, the reason I'm saying that is because this event is a hybrid event. It is taking place virtually also. So if you got a friend, family member who is not located in New York City or isn't able to be here today, you can text them the website address, disabilityunite.org, and they will see exactly what you see. So the future is hybrid, folks. That's accessibility.
And he's doing sign language too.
Yep.
That's cool.
All right.
Yep. Love it.
Just waiting on a go ahead, and we are good to go. All right. Happy Sunday, Pride Month. Welcome to the first in-person and virtual Disability Unite Festival. That's right. My name is Matt Axel. I am director of Disability Unite Festival. I'm a white male with black hair. I'm in my late 20s, and I'm wearing a black t-shirt that has the Disability Unite logo right across the chest. You know why? It's because when our community is united, we can do anything. That's right. So, this is all about community today. This is a celebration of community. Our motto is for the community, by the community. And that's more than words for us. That's because we do this for you, but the people who put this together are community members. Community members, just like yourselves, all got together and put together months and months of work to make this possible.
You can see the guy who's
And let me tell you the
doing
reason that they
captions.
did it. It's
Look
our
under
theme.
under the
Yeah.
Our
table.
theme this year is the future of inclusion. The past 2 years have been
That's
really,
cool.
really
That
tough.
must be so hard.
And we're coming out the other end now.
There's a sign
and this
saying,
is a
you know,
pivotal moment for
"Don't
us.
bother
We
me."
can decide what future we want. We can decide if that's a future of inclusion, if that's a future of accessibility. Because if somebody tells you that it can't be, they're not telling you the truth. We can make an accessible future if we do what you're seeing right here today. People coming together to make a fully accessible, in-person Disability Pride celebration. So give it up for yourselves. Yeah. I want to thank some of those people. So first of all, I'd like to thank the New York City Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities.
Why don't we walk a little as we wait for the music, and hopefully we'll catch a song, and then we'll continue along. But this sounds like a really, I just saw that this event would be here. I'm not super familiar with it myself, but
that man had one of the masks, the clear masks, so you can lip read.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a N95, so he has
Yep.
I mean, speaking of,
cities can speak with their government and tell them what they need. And the New York City Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities.
lots of things each of us can do to help make the world
Yep.
more accessible for everybody.
Look, there's a board. You could fill it with Post-its. How can we build a more accessible NYC?
And the first one says elevators.
Yep. The second one says elevators, lifts.
Yep. Two are for elevators, better accessible maps, and wayfinding in Central Park, which we mentioned one wayfinding tip, which is the streets on the lampposts, but I 100% agree there's much more can be done. I was listening to a radio show the other day about making hiking trails more accessible, which was super interesting.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're very spoiled here in the sense of Central Park being, certain parts of it more accessible than other parts, and
There's certainly no shortage of opportunities to do
but you
more.
can, the health benefits of being
Yeah.
outside and everything. So why don't we go check out the giant chess set for a second?
Okay.
So I wonder if this is part of the Unite thing, or if they're just
I'm sure it is.
advocating for the parks in general.
It's all related. You're using the park for an event.
Yep.
It's all related.
So we have Connect 4, we have giant chess, we have Jenga,
Giant Jenga.
cornhole, table hockey. And these are some of the incredible
Yeah, the racing wheelchairs.
racing wheelchairs, yeah. Those are like intense engineering. Huh?
Yep.
This is so cool. I love this.
Excuse me.
What a nice event. That guy's a good public speaker too. All right, he said let's get the party started. So hopefully let's grab a tune. He's leaving it all on the field, as they say.
I echo everything that Matt just said. The theme of this year's festival is a future of inclusion. So as we emerge from COVID-19, right, our world is undergoing fundamental restructuring. And with this year's theme, a future of inclusion, the overall goal is to envision humanity entering a world where inclusion is embraced on every level. We tell the world that the time is now to build a future where we can live the life we want and the life that we deserve. Yeah. So we're gonna kick it off. I think of a better person to kick this off than Emily Liddell. So Emily is a lifelong New Yorker. Her advocacy career began at the age of 10 when she appeared on Sesame Street several times to talk about equity and inclusion before they were buzzwords. Now she's a communications and accessibility consultant. She's writing, speaking on disability issues all over the place. She's published in the New York Times, CNN, Huffington Post, presented at places like Microsoft, the United States Department of Education, and the United Nations. And she's the author of one of my favorite books, Demystifying Disability, What to Know, What to Say, and How to Be an Ally, which was one of the top books of 2021, as decided on and voted on by NPR. Please give it up for none other than Emily Liddell.
such an honor to be sharing this space with you all today and to be witnessing the power of so many of you coming together in one place to celebrate our. Can we give a round of applause for that?
Hey, Parth, yeah, we'll definitely
I want to plainly
visit
acknowledge
the
that
Statue of Liberty
past
one day. It's a
few
great idea.
years have not been easy, especially not for our community. And as we are continuing to fight for accessibility and inclusion and safety and autonomy for our community, I know that it can be really hard not to feel in some ways like progress has stalled. And later this month, I'm actually turning 31. So the Americans with Disabilities Act has been in effect for the entirety of my lifetime. And though it has, along with so many other hard-won disability rights laws, granted me rights that disabled people could only once dream of, there's so much yet to be done to fully realize true equity for our community. I always say that we can create policies, but we can't legislate an attitude shift. So moving towards this unquestioning understanding that disabled lives are worth living is going to take more time. And it shouldn't be the disability community's load to bear to push for these shifts. I know that. But for now, I'm also celebrating the tireless work of this community that is keeping us moving forward.
Hey, S. Fields here.
And when the
Welcome.
going gets
Hello.
tough, I
Hello
think
from
the
Central Park.
generations of disabled people before
We're
us
at the Disability Unite
advocated so
event.
fiercely for their rights in the face of a world that said they weren't welcome and they didn't belong.
Watching a couple speeches, and hopefully we're going to catch some tunes in a second.
Our resilience, our survival, and I'm reminded that although our fight is far from over, we absolutely do belong here. Even though it's Disability Pride Month, I argue we don't actually need days on a calendar to give us permission to be loud and proud of who we are. But I'm sure we also know that it's not always easy to hold on to that pride.
Hey, BS, good to see you.
I personally admit that there are times when I have to really dig deep to embrace myself, to be unapologetic, to be unashamed. And I think it's okay that we're honest about this, because that's what disability pride really is to me. It's holding space for all that's beautiful and all that's messy, for our struggles and for our victories, as we continue to look toward a more accessible and inclusive future.
Yes, I'm
So
here too.
today,
Hello.
I am celebrating all of us. I am celebrating everyone who paved the way. I am celebrating generations of disabled people ahead. And most of all, I am celebrating that we have all made it here to this moment, showing up proudly just as we are. Happy Disability Pride Month, everyone.
Woo. Happy Disability Pride Month, a wonderful speech.
Our next speaker is Dr. Richard Donald Smith. He is a musician and a scholar. He's going to tell you a little bit about the impact of the arts on his life. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm on the board of Art Beyond Sight, which is my connection with all of you. This is a bit impromptu, but I should tell you, I've been totally blind since 1976. I spend much of my time in New York teaching at the United Nations International School, students without disabilities. And during the summer, I teach in Africa as guest lecturer for the University of Nigeria and conservatories there. I want to say that my own connection as a blind person caused me to become aware of other types of disabilities, such as disenfranchisement of other countries. So I spent a lot of time in other countries. My main purpose with the disabled community is to be very active with the Pavilion D'Agostino Music School there in New York, of course, Art Beyond Sight. And when I go over to Africa, I generally take many materials and distribute them both to musicians and to institutions for the blind because of the accessibility to these things we have here. I just want to welcome all of you to this festival, and I'm really glad that I had a chance to participate with the general disability community. You can find out some of the things I do just by Googling my name, Richard Donald Smith, and you'll find out some of the things. But I'm really happy to be here with everybody. Thank you. Thank you. So, our next speaker, Nick E. Smith, is the first deputy public advocate for the city of New York. Now, in this role, Smith is responsible for representing the public advocate and making the policy, legislative, and communications and community engagement decisions for the office. Previously, he served as the legislative representative for the de Blasio administration. And you know, in that role, he wrote more than 200 pieces of legislation to advise city agency heads.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, these are great speeches. Love to see that you like New York City. We're glad to share it with you.
For Nick E. Smith. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right, so wait, I love that. My name is Nick Smith, and I am a tall, dark-skinned black man, white hat, white shirt, black pants, and I'm proud to be the first deputy public advocate for the city, representing public advocate Giovanni Lee Williams. Thank you so much for that. I want to say, I don't want to take too much time, but I'll be quick. First of all, happy Disability Pride Month. Make some noise. This is the 32nd anniversary of the ADA. 32nd, give it up for that as well. I think that's very important to tell along, as you all know. So before I get into my remarks, I just want to say it's really amazing to see all of us here. And Emily, I want to give you some credit. I don't know what you meant, but you said something about it's not the burden of the disability community to be raising up the issues all around. And I love that. It's all of our responsibility to push for equity for all neighborhoods, including those with disabilities. Am I right about that? Am I right about that?
Yes.
So I want to thank you, Private Access for All, MOPD, the 504 Democratic Club, Art Beyond Sight, and so many other groups that are helping us to co-present today's event. Events like this truly do take a village, and I want all of you to know that so many people played a part in bringing us all together today. As we recognize the 32nd anniversary of the ADA, we thank you for engaging and working toward equity and access for all, one which is deeply personal to our office. It is so important to talk about this and to celebrate that which makes us different and that which makes us unique. Disability rights are not just a July issue for the public advocate and our team, but something we're working on every day. And a few examples include introducing legislation to establish a digital inclusion officer at every city agency, providing tenants with disabilities with information about legal services when facing eviction to prevent the eviction crisis from affecting our community. And so many other bills we're working on. And I would just put a quick call to action. If those of you who have ideas about what the city should be doing better, tweet us, call us, get in touch with the Office of Public Advocate, and we'll join you in that push. I often think in certain communities, we're not given resources that we need to survive and do what we have to do. But the public advocate, and alliance with all of you, we're going to make sure we change that narrative. We also need to take away the stigma from the general public. There is nothing wrong if we have a disability, and we all need to understand that and accept all of us as fellow New Yorkers with equity and with love. I think we're making some progress here, but there's more to do, and that is why we are glad the festival exists and that we are in the fight with all of you. And so again, on the anniversary of the ADA and for Disability Pride Month, we thank you all for the work that you're doing, and we look forward to working with you going forward in coalition. We love you. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. Thank you.
We need more public servants with that kind of attitude, don't you think? So, are you ready for our first performers?
Yeah.
I am. So I didn't give you a visual description of myself. I'm sorry about that. Let me do that right away so we can get that over with. I'm a criminally handsome, middle-aged white man who's wearing cerebral palsy with a very loud floral shirt and wet linen pants. Okay? So, now that that's out of the way, our first performers. I'm pumped for this. Wheelchair Sports Camp. So, by that response, I'm sure you already know, but let me do this for the folks at home. Wheelchair Sports Camp is a Denver-based band combining humor, playfulness, radical political perspectives, compassion, and undeniable chops. And they're unlike any other hip-hop act around. Fronted by the wheelchair-using, rap-heavy, beat-making, freedom-fighting, producer, educator, foul-mouthed, weird, rebel-rouser, and occasional mayoral candidate, Kalen. The band is a combination of live and electronic instruments with a noisy, jazzy, experimental combo to the traditional hip-hop group. Let's give it up for Wheelchair Sports Camp!
Thanks for having us.
So you can get the lead singer.
Yeah, I'll do this. Just 1 sec.
I was following my instincts. You followed all my stories for me in the category of your glory and I invited. Cat crawl, I am didn't hurry, didn't worry about the blurry lines you painted on that summer on the asphalt. The fashion that we fell, I was soaking, perfume, seething, soaking in the backstroke, seeing everything as being present, every evening, meaning, reconvening in the backstall. Who needs sleep? What is worth without work? Who could want more than for you to want me? Who am I? What a freak for keeps. So I'll take these scabs and your scars in the spring. You can imagine I'm far from the rings. Returned from Saturn and bargained to be a much madder and sadder new version of me. Goes a long way, look past my blue square, this won't be okay. When in doubt, where I shall lay down in the bed you love to make the rat race for happiness. Chasing the cheese that never is as tasty as you played out to be, but I always take the bait. Such a sucker for the seasonal catch and release.
Yeah, respect. It's awesome. So Lisa's doing another pit stop. We'll check out probably one more song and then we'll continue our tour of Central Park. But I'm really glad we got to spend some time at Disability United. Really cool.
Got away with murder, you should have heard her. Pump your baby, I still attract crazy. I feel a bad name. Every killer one I hate is a really shot of that. Every hater's gonna hate. I make art, okay, players, dark players, they say it, go ahead, say what you wanna say. I bet it's so much destiny, scripture my own destiny, forever independently. Let's get this money before it gets the best of me. Oh, but when I rest in peace, no way to donate my praise to me.
That's awesome. She's really talented. And I was trying to show you guys this card. The paintings we saw earlier, and I'll have to tell this to Lisa, the artist is blind. John Bramblett. And it says he has a YouTube channel. So I'll have to check that out later. That sounds awesome. Couple of Miss Immigrant USA here. Walk towards where Lisa will be. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming with us. So I'm going to go see if we can find Lisa. We'll do a little more of the park, and then we'll call it a day because I'm going to have to take Lisa and Mini Bagel for some lunch or Sunday brunch or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But super thankful that you guys would come along with us to the Disability Unite event. That was really good. Music was great. Full speeches. So on a recent, I mean, I feel like every time we do a live stream, there's like some aspect sort of like that. And we always talk about celebrate, educate, advocate, things like that. So think of which of those you might be able to do. So Lisa, I picked up a card from the artist that we saw, the painter. He's blind.
Whoa.
Right?
What?
Yeah. So if you want to read a little bit of that on the mic.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? I shouldn't say that. Isn't that crazy? What a thing
No,
for me to
after
say. But
losing,
isn't that like something?
this is a quote from him. After losing my sight, color means much more to me. Art is a celebration of life and emotion. Wow.
Is it? Yeah. That's so impressive, incredible. Some word I was looking for. Do you want to go on his website and just get a sense of what his art runs for?
I'm gonna put a link to his website
and
in
it
the
says
chat.
he has a YouTube where he you can see his process. I think. Have to check that out because I'm sure it's interesting. Dubdot says you gotta eat. Yeah, no, ladies gotta eat. S Fields, love that. Yeah. No, I mean we're seeing all sorts of really interesting stuff. I was on my soapbox earlier, so I won't repeat it. But if you want to scroll back after the stream and hear my spiel, feel free. So we're going to walk south now, down what's called the Mall and Literary Walk, one of the most beautiful walks in Central Park. And then I think what we might do is from there go to Sheep Meadow, and then we'll call it a day somewhere on the southern western end, and that's where Lisa and I will, from whence we will find some food. One more look at the art, because it's just incredible. Yeah, to be clear, Fields, I don't take any credit for the motto, but certainly words that are motivating. The music was great. That was fun. I'm really glad we got to see this. And hopefully it inspires all of us to think of some way, even if it's a small thing today, that we can do to make our little slice of the world a little better for everybody. You'll have to, Lena's library, we'll have to read more about that later.
Absolutely.
Maybe we're doing a little closet cleaning for Mini Bagel, and maybe we'll have to do some book donating at some point.
Yep.
All right, so officially we have exited the event. That was fun. That was inspiring. Now we are back on the Mall and Literary Walk. This is a famous view, and it's during winter one of my absolute favorite because the trees just transform. But over here you'll often see vendors, as you can see, lots of art for sale. A little quiet at the moment.
They'd have to compete with what's happening over there.
But often like very relaxing music. So it's a really cool place to sit on one of these benches, one of these $10,000 benches. Unbelievable, huh? And
I still have not seen one that doesn't have a plaque, so my guess is
you get a new bench.
You get a bench, yep.
And obviously the name also comes from the monuments towards the southern end of different writers. And one of my favorites, we saw Shakespeare Garden, there is a Shakespeare monument towards the end. To our east, which sadly today is the direction we are not going, are a few of my favorite places in the park, but we'll visit them another day. The Balto statue, everybody likes. Conservatory Water, which is the model sailboat pond, which we have a painting of in our apartment. One of my favorite things, one of my favorite, it's absolutely stunning.
Iconic spots.
It's very iconic. And then south of us, again, probably not heading there today, but another favorite spot is the pond.
That's probably one of my favorites. I love that spot.
It's beautiful, and that's, both of the Conservatory Water and the pond, great spots for a picnic, or just, I often after my walks sit over there just to hydrate and relax.
That's neat. Vintage Polaroid pictures.
Yeah, those gentlemen with a vintage Polaroid.
A really old vintage camera.
So if you want a family portrait, maybe we'll get one day. The pond is famous, filled with ducks, geese.
Oh, it's beautiful no
turtles,
matter what time of year.
But another in winter that is especially beautiful, and the beautiful bridge over there. Oh, did I lose the, sorry, I'm now on 20% and it stupidly does a alert which pauses the camera. So sorry if we were walking without the camera for a second, I just noticed it. Dude, we got 2 of the 9 bodies of water. Concise, my favorite spot. So we're coming up on a particularly famous monument, one of the newer monuments, and one of the only couple of women in the park. Vast majority of monuments are to men. This is the Women's Rights Pioneers Monument. Relatively recent, meaning
very recent.
Not 100 years old. It's from 2014. The group that came together to get it was 2014. It was dedicated to 2017. Excuse me. Sojourner Truth, Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. A super overdue monument. Most
Oh,
of the
look at
monuments.
those oil paintings. Those are pretty.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Vast majority of monuments to men, and even to unnamed men. So to our right is the Indian hunter, and we saw the falconer earlier. So just, you know, statues.
Yep.
Very few of women. One of my favorites is the Diane Arbus
Yes.
temporary statue at the southeast corner of the park, Grand Army Plaza. Diane Arbus, famous photographer.
Look at this little guy resting.
Prince Ice, the trees are so tall. Yeah, and Joanne, thanks for a lovely walk. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for all of your incredible support of what we do. Prince Ice, the trees very tall. Yeah. So let me do a shot here. I mean, these must be super old growth. And again, during winter, they transform completely, and it's so beautiful. If you check out my most popular video of Central Park after the snowstorm, it's really something. How classic is it that it takes this much longer to get statues
so
of women in the
true.
park, and they still have to share? You know, I always make a point of it when we go on the Brooklyn Bridge to talk about Emily.
Do you want to point out Shakespeare?
Yeah.
You mentioned it, so just
Yeah,
wanna...
there's Shakespeare in the distance over the greenery at the southern end of the literary walk.
Beautiful violinist playing.
I love
one
it.
of my favorite
I don't
songs.
I don't want to overdo it because we gave away my tip money already, unless you have some tip money.
Can't Help Falling in Love. That's one
Yeah.
of my favorite songs.
So we'll start hanging a right so we can go into Sheep Meadow. What were we talking about? Oh, having to share.
Share.
Yeah, it's just like, so I mention Emily Warren Roebling every time we go to the Brooklyn Bridge because, so the story of the Brooklyn Bridge, father designs, begins to build it, dies in a tragic incident. He was like surveying for the bridge. Somehow a boat crashes into his foot. I mean, who even understands how this happens? And he eventually dies of the injury. His son takes over. He also gets injured in the creation of the bridge. He gets the bends from the underground, underwater digging that has to be done. So he gets, blood poisoning effectively. So he's bedridden. And so Emily, his wife, so the son's wife, Emily Warren Roebling, becomes effectively the chief engineer of the bridge and completes it. And they always talk about, he's looking out his window. I don't know how much of this is apocryphal and all that stuff, but it's her bridge. She gets credit for the bridge in my book. And the bridge is covered in plaques, and only like one of them really is dedicated to her. So, whatever. take what you will from that. But Dumadot, very good point. Takes this long and still have to share it. Thankfully, I think it's only a temporary statue. The Diane Arbus statue is only Diane Arbus and her.
I'm just being...
Yeah, they went in over here. So usually we'll walk across and you can enter right here.
Sometimes Sean takes us in a way that we then have to backtrack and it's not...
So a second pro tip, our first pro tip was look at the numbers on the lamps. The first two numbers tell you the cross street you're near, and usually a W or E to tell you east or west, depending on what side of the park you're on. Second pro tip, when you see these gigantic fields, look for the hot dog carts. That's usually where there's an entrance or exit to the fields. They know where to stand. And as we can see, hot dog churro vendor, that sounds really good. And here we can enter. Nabul asked Delcourt clock. So we're going west today. The zoo and everything else is east. There's a lot east. We will do another Central Park walk because this is particularly fun. And I think the phone did pretty well today, honestly. So
Yeah, and we did do the clock. I can't remember if it was last week's or the week before.
it was
but
on the, wasn't it on the Fifth Avenue one where we rushed in?
Could be.
But I also, Nabul, I have a dedicated Delacorte clock video recently, so check that out. Feel free. I cut that one apart to just have the clock chiming, so if people want to share that without having to share a 3-hour video, you can. So this is Sheep Meadow, and aptly named because sheep used to graze in the meadow. And it's been on my list. I'm so mad at myself for missing this, but they did they ran the goats in Riverside Park because we actually do literal, running of animals to eat the grass and to help maintain. And I would love to see that and film it for you guys. So I'll have to find out the next time that's happening and rush over. I feel so bad that I missed that, because how fun would that have been? So on a hot summer day, you will see this covered in, literally thousands of people sunbathing, picnicking, resting, kids playing.
I mean, I'd call this a hot summer day. It's just not a sunny summer day.
Yeah, it's not a summer day. It's not a hot,
it's not a sunny summer day.
Afternoon. But maybe later today it might be more filled than this. This is pretty, for a weekend I'm a little surprised, but I always joke on the weekend in New York, people are still hungover, so they haven't woken up yet. Sundays in New York are more of a 3-4 p.m.
And the sun's not bright enough for the sunbathers.
It's not bright enough for the sunbathers, that's right. So as we walk across the park, as we walk across the meadow, when we exit, we'll be at another famous landmark.
Tavern on the Green.
Yes. Which has an improved menu recently. So one day we'll check that out. Likewise, the boathouse we'll have to do one day.
I think I'm saving those when I can enjoy a nice cocktail.
Yeah, for sure. And Gregory was asking earlier, and I didn't actually know the answer to this. Have I ever taken you on a rowboat? I think the answer is no.
You have not. But we did do a kayak in, where were we? In the bioluminescent bay?
Yes. Oh, that's right. That's pretty close.
Where was
that's pretty close
that?
to a rowboat. The Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Oh, I mean, come on, that was years
That
ago.
That was at night because, we were seeing the bioluminescence. We only crashed into one bush or tree, remember?
And we were on a boat in a lagoon I guess I'm mixing up two things, but in Mexico we remember the like crocodiles or whatever in the lagoons.
Oh yeah, that was like a little private boat tour around the...
Yeah, but anyway, Lisa's right. So if you've never seen a bioluminescent bay, try to Google that or find it on YouTube. Literally, it's like bugs, bacteria that glow at night. And when I say glow, it's like the northern lights. It's that eerie, slowly moving, it's beautiful. It's very hard to describe.
That was fun.
That was super fun. But yeah, good point. I was like, we've been on many boats. And I did not remember that one, but that's a great call out. Pretty close to a rowboat, I would say, in its way. So up ahead, that's another example of the fancy picnic.
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
I think it must be it must be more popular now.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of the quote unquote post-pandemic, wanting fancy experiences.
Yeah. Working with what you've got to try to...
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, they are really nice looking, to be clear. Yes, that's a nice park. Yeah, it's beautiful. Suke, like NYC, Central Park is a gift that keeps on giving. So much to see. S Fields, I think many people have gone near water this weekend. Tubadat, way to go, phone.
Yes. Very happy about the phone.
I think, and I'll have to check later, I think my plan rolled over this morning. I was really worried last week about the stream and buffering because I'd used up so much data that month, but I think we've been fairly lucky, knock on wood. So we're gonna go, we'll cross the street, see Tavern on the Green, and then we will walk to the southern end. Gregory Kelly, you should put together a list of your favorite NYC restaurants. You seem to know a lot about dining. Yeah, that's a good idea. I have I link to lots of maps in my Walking Manhattan video, and obviously I try in my recorded videos to put a map of where I head, my route. It's a good idea to create a restaurant-specific map. That's a good idea. I will.
We do like our dining out. We don't get to do as much of anymore.
But if anybody's ever visiting, feel free to just comment or ask, and let me know kind of the areas.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say we have a recommendation in most every neighborhood, right?
Yeah, at least one. And usually it's like, yeah, you should really try this.
Yeah.
If you try nothing else, try this one. Let's wait for these to go past.
Prince Ice. I think I never mentioned you have a good voice, Sean.
It's so funny that well, first of all, very kind of you to say. Lisa, whenever we replay these later.
Oh, I hate hearing my voice.
I try not to listen to myself. It is funny how different a recording of you is to the reality,
oh my
right?
goodness.
Or to what you
I'll
think
just,
the reality is.
You know, Sean will be
to...
editing or doing something, and I'll catch it, and I'll say, oh man, is that how I sound like?
We're going to try to go after this one.
We're going to try not to get hit by a horse today. Horse and carriage.
A lot of horse droppings as we cross the street, as we were joking about the smells earlier.
That is one that the mask does not really help.
So we're not going to go in. I just want to see a couple of views of Tavern on the Green to show you guys, and maybe we'll see a menu. I think I see one. John W.'s here. Great channel supporter. Thank you for being here, John W. Gregory Kelly, I went to Lutece once. Wow.
Sean, you've left me.
I think the nicest place that Lisa and I have both been to, although we went separately, was the Four Seasons when it was still around.
But I think the nicest was our first anniversary dinner. Wouldn't you say?
Del Posto?
Yes.
I mean, that was the fanciest meal of our lives, I think. So this is the outdoor space of Tavern on the Green. There are public restrooms, FYI. It's good to know.
Oh, that's nice.
Glass burning oven in there. I mean, it's a decent outdoor setup. You could maybe do drinks there one day when Lisa's able to again. Del Posto was short-lived, sadly. It did not survive.
How long was it open, though, before it closed?
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. But it was, they put Lisa's purse on its own little stool.
On a stool.
And they made a menu specific to her, which
for
was
each
wonderful.
of us, because Sean's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
And I was not at the time. Oh, I'm not again. I go back and forth.
Yeah,
sometimes I'm pescatarian.
Yeah.
But Sean has been a vegetarian for a really long time. And they did...
Stupid. Sorry about the camera again. So we're on my 10%, but we're almost done with the stream. So sorry if the camera turned off again.
They did... Was it an 8-course?
It was absurd. It was insane.
But they talked to each of us about our likes, and then they created, you know, a different menu for each of us. So
incredible.
Mine included fish and meat.
Yeah.
Sean's did not.
It was
quite
incredible.
something.
And I remember, I forget exactly what they called it, but I had before we went up, they had this Art Deco lobby. It's indescribably beautiful. But I had something, I'm going to forget the exact name, but it was basically called Sub-Zero Martini.
And it was like...
It was literally like they took bottles out of freezers.
Sorry, we just came across a squashed dead rat.
Oh, charming.
Sean missed that, but I
as we discuss our fine dining experience. Yeah, that was definitely the nicest thing we've ever done. That was fun. We're not big fine diners just because, I mean, obviously the expense is completely obscene.
I mean, even just a normal meal here is obscene.
Yeah, but, you know, we're not, some fine dining is a little too much for us. it's a little beyond our palates. A little was fun, and that one was fun because for Italian is very accessible, obviously. So even when you're getting something that's less familiar, or the ingredients are more challenging, in general the food is so accessible.
And they made some interesting things for us, though.
Well, you had particularly interesting stuff
Yeah.
because we were like, yeah, she'll try stuff.
So Esfield says it was open for about 15 years or so. Okay.
It was fun. I mean, it was, and if I would look up pictures of it because inside
It was beautiful.
was stunning.
Yep.
But so is the Four Seasons was beautiful on the inside. The pool room, I mean, literally had a pool in the middle of it.
Yep.
The silver and blue, it was just stunning. We were lucky to experience a couple of those things, while they lasted. The other one, and I don't know if it's reopened yet, but if you ever visit New York and you're looking for a pretty high-end experience, is Manhattan. So it's Manhattan minus the N at the end.
I mean, that one you go for the views.
Yeah, it's a Danny Meyer restaurant. He does Union Square Cafe, Gramercy Tavern, but he's also the owner of Shake Shack. We've talked about him before. Highly focused on customer service and the experience. Manhattan is in the financial district.
On like the 61st floor? Or
Yeah,
something?
I mean, and the views are spectacular. So it closed obviously during the last couple of years. But it was going to reopen.
I think so,
I
yeah.
don't know if it has reopened yet. When it does, if you're, in the market for, a super high-end experience, celebrate an anniversary, a birthday.
Well, we're not doing indoor dining, but sure.
Yeah, but that one I highly recommend. A lot of people like, those observation decks and stuff. That way you can experience a little bit of both. You get the dining
you sit
and the
there,
view.
you have a cocktail. I think one of the dishes I had was Wagyu beef,
Yeah.
beef, and oof, that was like dessert. It was just
And it was interesting. I feel like the food was, most of his restaurants are sort of American but Italian influenced. That one was more German influenced at the time, which was interesting. So American-European mix.
Oh yes, when the Four Seasons auctioned off their
Why don't we walk
furniture.
through here because there's some nice plants and flowers as we finish up. Naboul mentioned, I think, that he said he met the creator of Lutece. That's amazing. Yeah, the Four Seasons when they auctioned stuff off. I looked. I mean, I obviously couldn't afford any of that, but I remember looking because it really, for my sensibility, I thought it was one of the most beautiful places I'd ever been inside. Very, very classic, very simple design. Fancy, no, for sure, because it was like silver and everything, but it was not like